how do we operate with fractions? So, the first rule we must take into account is to have the same denominator. A fraction consists of two parts, the denominator and the numerator. Now, the first rule for addition, and basically the only rule we need to know, is that the denominator must be the same. For example, in this case, we can't add those fractions because we don't have the same denominator, so we would need to change them in order to add them. Since we can multiply and divide a fraction by the same number without changing anything, we can write here times 3 and divide it by 3. So we would be getting 21 over 15, because multiplying by one number and dividing by the same number is the same as multiplying times 1, because 3 over 3 is 1, and multiplying by 1 changes nothing. Now here we would have 27 over 15 plus 21 over 15. Now that we have the same denominators, we will write that denominator on the result and we will add the numerator, which gives us 48. Now, what happens when we try to subtract some fractions? Well, it's actually the same thing. Think about having, for example, 27 over 15 again, minus 3 over 2. Now, we need to know what the least common multiple of 15 and 2 is, which you know is 30. So we would just need to know by how many times we multiplied 15 to get 30, and by how many times we multiplied 2 to get 30. As 30 divided by 15 is 2, we know that 15 times 2 is 30. So we would just have to multiply this fraction times 2 and divide it by 2. Now the other fraction, we keep this minus here, should be multiplied by 15 and also divided by 15. And we will get 54 over here over 30 minus 3 times 15, 45, over 30, which leaves us with 9 over 30. Multiplying fractions is way easier than summing them. We just have to multiply the numerators and the denominators. So this multiplication would leave us with a times c over b times d. Pretty easy. This example, without going any further, leaves us with 21 over 2 times 13, which is 26, and that would be the result. Finally, to divide fractions, we must do almost the same as we did multiplying them, but crossing the products. It would be something like this, where we multiply b times c and put it in the denominator and multiply a times d, leaving it on the numerator. There also is another way to do this. As you know, dividing fractions can also be written this way, and we can just multiply the one on the top and the one on the bottom, writing it on the top, and then multiply the ones in the middle, writing them on the bottom. For me, it's easier to use this way. Taking the same example as when we multiplied, and I will do it with the two rules I showed you, we would get 3 times 13 on the top and 2 times 7 on the bottom, which equals 39 over 14. If we do it with the second method, we get the same output, 3 times 13, divided by 2 times 7, which equals 39 over 14, the same exact result. Here I will do some examples so you can pause the video and try to do them without looking at the answer, and it's very important for you to know these two cases, the two last ones of the sums and subtractions and of the multiplications and divisions. First of all, we will look for the least common multiple, which in this case is 14 times 3. So we will have over 42 times 3, this one over here, 9, minus 14 times 7, 98. That results in minus 89 over 42. This one over here, we know the least common multiple between 2 and 13 is 26, so we know we would have to write 26 in these two parts. Now 2 over 2 is the same as 26 over 26, because 2 over 2 is 1, and 26 over 26 is 1, and here we multiplied times 2, so we will have to multiply times 2, so we will have to multiply times 2 the upper part, 32, and we will get 58 over 26. Over here, the least common multiple between 15 and 20 is 60, so we get 60. We've multiplied this times 4, so the top also multiplied by 4, minus over 60. We multiplied here times 3, so the top times 3, 9, and we get minus 5 over 60. In this case, you know that 0 divided by anything is 0, so we can just omit this over here and the result will just be this. Now, going to the multiplications and divisions that are way easier, we get 7 times 2, 14, over 5 times 5, 25. Here we get 3 times 3 and to the top, 9. 11 times 11 to the bottom, 121. 4 times 7 to the top, 28. 7 times 4 to the bottom, 28, which is equal to 1. And here, very important, we cannot divide by 0. You know that 0 divided by anything equals to 0, so this is 0. And we know that anything divided by 0 doesn't exist. And this is how we write it doesn't exist. Be very careful if you find something like this. Now we'll just try to draw some dices so that you can be entertained. No, I can't. I'm so bad at drawing. Goodbye.